What not?
Always said, well, why? I know you have.
We don't get the trust. Well, no, on Thursday, on actual Thursday, you can pay it.
Yeah, I know. I've never done it.
No one.
I used to take a picture.
That way, nobody.
I can put it on if I want to see it.
I still don't have to go to the sideline tax.
Even if we were to which the mini guys
So it has an else to shoot when I'm searching that. Oh, yes. What is he wearing? That's just regular suit. So he's quite a good photo op, I'll say that.
They send the pictures of everyone.
We didn't get it. We must have been in the press.
You're in the press?
That's just like Mercer not responding to it anymore.
I was going to read my stuff, but I have to read my own. I have to bring it.
also keep your mouth.
Whole town does that.
Yeah. Is he helping for what?
The whole lot.
Doesn't it look like one of those things? Diagram like that will probably forever. Not worried about it. Oh. Yeah, because everybody comes like a.
As soon as I hear that, otherwise it'll be so.
I was asking questions. Nobody else cares.
He was not. Great.
She was a lot different.
I know.
You should. Some good shooters in there.
Young, he just trained.
Yeah, but I mean, you can practice with it once or twice. That's just the result. As we shoot.
I ain't gonna stand behind the camera. All right.
All right, hold on, let me get my eat. Hey, Micah, how you doing? All right, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing? All right. Y'all kind of give Ruth a word to kind of show a little presentation up in here.
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
All right, thanks. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Christina, we ready? We ready to go? All right. All right. Thank y'all for being here. This is sort of a culmination or a summary of the last 4 weeks and a couple of days for the 4 escapees from the Bibb County Jail. As everybody knows, back on October the 16th, we think around 3 o'clock, the 4 inmates escaped from the Bibb County Jail. And you got the video? All right. Just got everything started here. These are the 4 inmates as they were escaping. All right. And these who those inmates were: Chavis Stokes, Mark Anderson, Jonathan Barnwell, and Joey Fournier. As soon as we were made aware of the escape, certainly everything went into play, and that's when this team that's assembled here all came into action with those and others that came to work and participated in the manhunts and in the captures of these individuals. The biggest break came when we confiscated or was able to find on the 20th of October, when we found the blue Dodge Challenger. And yes, this was the right car that we found. You'll remember there was some talk that we got the wrong car, but we got the right car. That sort of gave us a good break in the case. When we found that vehicle, it was able to lead us to other vehicles, but the one thing that finding that vehicle did led us to Jacalyn Williams. You see his picture there. He's arrested and charged in connection with the escape. We believe that Jacalyn had brought some contraband items to the jail prior to the escape in that Dodge Challenger. Jacalyn Williams' arrest led us to Christian Williams, who a few days later, U.S. Marshals Service personnel as well as Bibb County deputies went to an apartment over off of Vineville and were met with gunfire from Mr. Williams, Christian Williams, and then we believe that he subsequently took his own life. Christian Williams led us to Micaiah Williams. We don't believe any of these folks are all connected, all kin to each other, but they have the same last name of Williams. That led us to Micaiah Williams, who then led us to Janisha Green and Jacorcia Smith. It was determined that Miss Green and Miss Smith were basically swapping cars while they were going to visit Mr. Barnwell over near Augusta. they both were taken into custody and charged in connection with hindering apprehension of Mr. Barnwell. In addition, we made it our business to get involved into the mafia business and did some warrant sweeps, and as a connection to those, these individuals here were all arrested and charged with drugs or either gang activity, and some of these individuals were also charged federally. Two of the more prominent folks that are listed up here are Tarico Balcom and Alfonso Clyde. These are very, particularly Alfonso Clyde. He's a very high-ranking member of the mafia organization here in Macon, and is well known to law enforcement. And now he's facing federal charges in connection to his involvement with Mr. Barnwell and then the escape. While working on this end, investigators and U.S. Marshals were able to make contact with people connected with Mr. Stokes, and were able to make arrest of him down in Montezuma. And that's when he was taken into custody. Chavis Stokes was taken into custody in Montezuma. In addition, an investigation has revealed, continued investigation revealed, a connection with Tamisha Timley with Mark Anderson. And as we investigated these folks that had escaped, it was determined that once they got away from the LEC and got away, they pretty much all went their separate ways. They were sort of connected to each other while plotting the escape, but then once they got out, they all went their separate ways. It was determined that Tamisha Timley was connected with Mark Anderson, and through investigative techniques, through our work with our intelligence analysts and search warrants on cell phones and that sort of technological investigation, we were able to link her with Mark Anderson and found out that he was staying in a place in Atlanta. And we kept looking, and the intel unit and the investigators kept looking, and the way that they were able to get him was they were having food delivered. Tamisha Timley was having food delivered to Mark up there in his high-rise place that he was staying at in Atlanta. So once they had a Grubhub order, and if you notice, the Grubhub folks take a picture of where they deliver it. They delivered it to the front door, so they had an apartment number. So the next step was, there he was. And when they were going in the front door, Mark Anderson texts back to Ms. Timley, "Police at the door, baby. I'm going back to jail." So he knew that it was over with. Now, Joey Fournier sort of went off the grid for a little bit, but we had been in contact with his family and working with his family to where finally he decided to give it up. And Saturday morning he gave it up, and U.S. Marshal Service and folks went up there and made that arrest on Saturday morning. He had been living in a homeless camp up near Stockbridge pretty much the whole time since he had escaped. Some investigators had been up there Friday and found where he had been staying and got some of his belongings then, so he probably figured it wasn't long before we'd get him, so he just decided to turn himself in at that point. There's a whole lot of agencies, and that's what I want to talk about here. This is truly a teamwork operation. You'll see these agencies listed here: FBI, State Patrol, Clayton County Sheriff's Office, Richmond County Sheriff's Office. There's a number of agencies that worked that helped to capture these 4 escapees. And it was truly a teamwork. There was no ego. Everybody worked together. Everybody followed the leads. Everybody followed the tips. And we had a successful operation, and these individuals were taken into custody. So all of these folks here, the gang unit, our SRT team, our criminal intelligence team, it all works together, and it shows that we have the resources, we have the dedication, we have the people, that when we are faced with a situation like this, I hope we don't have to use them all for a escapee again. But some of the other crime issues that we have, we put these same tools to the project, to the problem, so that we can solve it. So I'm very appreciative and very proud to be up here with these individuals. They're the ones that did all the work. These individuals right here on the gang unit, on the SRT, with the FBI, and our partners from GBI and all of these other agencies did not hesitate 1 second to come forward and help us in this case. So our appreciation goes out to all of them. In addition to these folks arrested, there were some other vehicles that were seized. Connection, this black Honda Accord was a vehicle that was connected to Janisha Green, who had gone back and forth to Augusta and up that way to see Jonathan Barnwell. The Toyota Highlander, that's another vehicle. That was Jacorsha Smith. They were swapping out these 2 vehicles to go to Augusta, so as not to be seen, but they were seen. The other vehicle was a vehicle that belonged to Joey Fournier's brother, Jeffrey, that we took that for some examination to see what involvement that vehicle may have had in his escape, or what involvement it may have had after he escaped. So all of that continues to be under investigation right now. So, but that is where we are, and I can't say enough again about how appreciative I am of these individuals, and our citizens should be very proud of the work that all of these deputies and all of these agencies put in to capture these 4 escapees, and now they're all back in custody. All right? Anybody got any questions?
How useful were tips from the public in capturing these individuals?
I'm sorry?
How useful were tips from the public in capturing these individuals?
We got a few tips about maybe the blue Challenger. We got a lot of calls about that vehicle. We got a lot of tips from people saying that they thought that somebody may be involved. They thought that they may have seen them. Some of those tips turned out to be something we could use, particularly the ones with when we were looking for the blue Dodge Challenger. Some others were, didn't pan out, but we appreciate the tips that we did get. Most of this was done through just, as they say, good old-fashioned police work, just following leads, following people who were connected. You saw these individuals that were arrested. These individuals here that were arrested that were somehow connected to one or more of the escapees. So those that played a role in it. So there's a lot of different things. Our being able to access phone information, tracking cameras, flock cameras came in handy on these vehicles that we were able to get. They showed up on some flock cameras up towards Augusta. So it was just a whole lot of other things that was that we looked at. And there they all are. When it's all said and done, that's what it's all about, getting them all back into custody.
Sheriff, are they housed in the same place now, or how they are housed in the jail?
3 of them are in the Bibb County Jail. Barnwell is not, because he had charges up in Augusta, some more federal charges up there. So he's being held elsewhere. The U.S. Marshals have him in custody, so he may come back to Bibb County. He was a federal inmate before, and he was awaiting transfer when the escape came, so he may or may not be back here because he's facing federal charges in another jurisdiction. So,
My
but
question is, are they housed in a special place here?
Oh.
in Lincoln?
uh,
Or you can tell me, or you cannot?
they're in a special place in the Bibb County Jail, yeah.
What's the special place?
A cell they can't get out of.
Are there any new procedures y'all are doing at the jail?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. There's new leadership in the jail. There's some new policies back there. So there's a whole lot of things going on as far as the facility goes, as far as staffing, all of those things. We're continuing our internal affairs investigation into exactly all of the factors that went into the escape. We will have that investigation completed soon. But as I said when this all started, the most important thing that we needed to do was to get these 4 inmates back into custody. That has been done, so now we can move on to the next thing.
So what about immediate changes in terms of how rounds are done in the middle of the night, especially between 12 and 6 a.m.?
That a lot of that's been looked into and is being changed. I ain't going to go into specifics about when block checks happen and that sort of thing, but there is a renewed emphasis on security and making sure our staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing at all times.
And from the video, can you explain the order of who left first and who was the last to go?
We're looking at it. We think that the order was Barnwell and Anderson, Barnwell and Stokes, and then maybe Anderson and Fournier. Fournier was the last one. We're pretty sure the last one they go out.
And speaking of Fournier, one of the trucks was registered to a Jeffrey Fournier. How were you able to know like that was his truck? And did Joey take that truck to go up there, or did he get a ride from Jeffrey?
That's all we're trying to figure out, exactly what connection that truck had into it during the time. It may pan out that it may have not been as connected or what have you, but at the time that we were doing the search for these inmates, every investigative lead was followed. Whether it panned out or anything or not is, that will remain to be seen. But we left no stone unturned as far as following evidence and checking whatever evidence that we could find during the search.
And speaking of the tips that you mentioned, how were you all able to vet them and then determine next course of action and how long to apprehend the next inmate?
Well, a lot of it, you had tips. You had tips about, as I said, the car. We had some tips about where these inmates might have possibly been, but a lot of it was just investigative work. Once you capture one person, that person leads you to another person, which leads you to another person. The intel analyst work on seized cell phone devices and that sort of thing sort of painted a trail of crumbs that led us to each person.
So now that, aside from what they were already in jail for, how long will they be in jail now with this escape charge?
Well, all of the individuals except for Barnwell are pre-trial detainees. They're waiting to stand trial for their various charges, and so that'll be determined by the prosecutors. Now, I know some of them are being charged again federally for the escape. I know Barnwell, he faces federal charges for the escape because he was already a federal inmate. The others will be primarily state charges because they were already being held for state offenses, and so that'll just add time to their eventual sentence.
Actually, you said you get involved in the mafia business. Did you know that the mafia was here already, or explain that?
We had known, obviously, that there were gangs and that the mafia gang was in existence here, and there were individuals that we had been looking at, individuals that we knew were involved in the gang, but we were trying to build cases on them. This just made it easier because they had connections with Barnwell, and that they were in some ways helping him, some ways connected to him. His being out helped to further the mafia, their business. So that's why when I say we got into the mafia's business, we did, and that's why some of these individuals are arrested now, and they will be going away for a long time, we hope.
And just building off of that, what risk did these individuals pose to the public before they were apprehended?
Well, you never know what risk a person who has escaped and is cornered, particularly if they were cornered by, just a regular citizen. You don't ever know. But we're just so thankful that each and every one of them was captured without incident, that they did no harm to anyone while they were out, and so that's just a blessing. We're very glad that it ended up how it has.
Did any of the women give up where any of the inmates were?
No. Not until it was too late, right?
Yes, sir.
Not until it was too late.
Is there any jail staff that was disciplined?
That's part of the investigation. That's part of the ongoing internal investigation as to why this all happened. That's been running along parallel with all of this. But right now, all of our efforts have been to recapture these inmates. Now that they're back, we can move into that phase of it and see what needs to be done there on anybody that was derelict in their duties or had anything to do with this. They will be held accountable.
Now, what about the reward money? Was there a clear enough tip to determine which one would get that reward money, and if there wasn't one, what happens to the money now?
Well, we're looking at that. We're still not. The door has not been completely closed on whether somebody may be eligible for the reward, but as of yet, there's not been a clear tip that has come through that would warrant us giving the reward money to anyone. And if if nothing comes about to where any of it is given out, it just sort of goes back into the reward account, or just goes back into to whatever. Like sheriff's office has gave up some reward money or offered reward money. That's just a pot of money that we can use for different law enforcement purposes, so it'll just kind of go back into that account.
You should share it with these guys.
Huh?
You should share it with these guys for money.
Well,
First.
I wish we could. But they get my undying thanks, and maybe buy them all a lunch or something. But they don't. And I guarantee you, if you ask any one of them, they're not doing this for no reward. This is their job. And they do it because they're here to serve the public. They're here to serve our community. And this is what they do, and they're proud to do it. And I'm so thankful that they are here to put their lives on the line and to be out there every single day to capture these individuals and all of the others that we deal with from day to day that are doing bad things in our community. So they should have all of our undying gratitude and appreciation for all the work that they've done.
So, let's see, last question from you, Elise. I know we talked about it obviously in the beginning a little bit, but what happens now? What's next? For the inmates, for the staff, jail staff? Well,
that's an ongoing question. We are continually, as I said, we have changed up the leadership in the jail. We are looking at policies and procedures. We have policies and procedures that should be followed. We want to make sure that they are followed. Make sure that that our jail deputies understand their responsibility to keep people in jail, and that that we avoid a situation like this happening again. All right. Anybody else? Y'all got it? All right.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. That's it. Y'all got it. All right.
Hey, Sheriff. Who I need to see about signing the paper for a U visa?
Oh, just bring it into my office. Bring it into the LEC, the front of it, and just drop it off. I sign those.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I have it there.
Okay.
Get the